Bonnie Kay Santiago was born on April 11, 1957. At the age of 56, she was living in Staunton, Virginia, and was described by her family as a bubbly and kind-hearted individual who was always the life of the party. She had 7 grown children, with the youngest being 24. She had a total of 5 great-grandchildren and several grandchildren. Tragically, in the summer of 2014, she strangely went missing. On July 12th, Bonnie and her boyfriend had a party at his house. At around 1 a.m., her boyfriend went off to bed, and when he woke up later, Bonnie was gone and hasn't been seen or heard from since. A couple of days later, when there was still no sign of her, her family reported her missing. The boyfriend immediately became a person of interest, but his alibi checked out, and he fully cooperated with the police. He also passed multiple polygraph tests and was eventually ruled out as a suspect. A few days after Bonnie's disappearance, her van was located, and inside, officers observed signs consistent with a violent struggle. For instance, the rearview mirror had been nearly torn off, blood was found inside, and footprints were visible on the inside of the windshield. The location where the van was found was never publicly released. There were early reports that some of Bonnie's belongings, such as her cell phone, eyeglasses, flip-flops, and heart medication, were found inside the van. But according to her family, they were actually found inside her home on her nightstand. Police have also been tight-lipped about the blood recovered from the van, never saying whether or not it was conclusively linked to Bonnie. After her disappearance, she never refilled prescriptions and never accessed her bank accounts again. Around the time of her disappearance, her niece, Sabrina High, also known as Sabrina Rock, appeared on seasons 2 and 3 of Breaking Amish. This led to some additional public attention for Bonnie's case, but even with that, there were no solid leads. In 2016, a search warrant was executed in Augusta County and revealed a tip that suggested Bonnie's body was in a septic tank near Craigsville, Virginia. Authorities drained and searched the septic system, but no evidence was found. Investigators believe Bonnie met with foul play and is likely deceased. However, her remains have never been recovered, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain unclear. Bonnie Kay Santiago stood about 5 foot 5 inches with dark brown hair and hazel eyes. She was last seen wearing a white shirt with designs on it, blue denim capri pants, and flip-flops. If you have any information about her disappearance, please call the Albemarle County Police Department at 434-972-4000. Bonnie Santiago went missing on July 12, 2014, and as of February 2026, she remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. Hope Renee Curry was born on September 27, 1977, and grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. When she was a teenager, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and suffered from occasional seizures. She'd gotten in trouble as a teenager and dropped out of Green Run High School before graduating. By the age of 23, she was still living in Virginia Beach and was the mother of a 9-month-old daughter. Unfortunately, due to substance abuse, the child had been placed into foster care. Hope then made it her mission to turn her life around to regain custody of her daughter. However, she would disappear before ever getting the chance. On November 11, 2000, at approximately 9:30 p.m., Hope received a page from an unknown person. She told her brother she was going to a nearby Texaco gas station to use the payphone. After leaving, she was never heard from again. She was required to take daily medication to help with her seizures, but it was left behind when she went missing. Before her disappearance, she had been the victim of both mental and physical abuse. Unfortunately, there's not much information on the abuse, and while I can speculate that she was a domestic violence victim, I can't be 100% sure. At the time she was last seen, Hope stood between 5 foot 7 inches and 5 foot 9 inches with brown hair and brown eyes. She was wearing a green sweater with a black and white argyle pattern across the chest, black jeans, and blue and white platform sneakers. She was also wearing a gold necklace with a gold number 1 mom pendant, which had a small sapphire embedded near the number 1, a silver ring with a pink stone, a silver ring on her pinky finger, and a light-up watch with a silver filigree band. She had acrylic fingernails and may go by her middle name, Renee. On top of the seizures she suffered from, she also had 80% vision loss in her right eye. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Hope Renee Curry, please call the Virginia Beach Police Department at 757-385-4101. Hope Renee Curry went missing on November 11, 2000, and as of February 2026, she remains missing, and her case remains unsolved. Chad Hunter Austin was born on October 22, 1988, to Ellen Austin. By the age of 30, Chad was living in Buena Vista, Virginia, and was described as an outdoorsy individual who was super close to his dog, Gunner, who went nearly everywhere with him. On Memorial Day, May 27, 2019, Chad went to the Panther Falls area, a popular local hiking spot known for its trails, camping areas, and swimming hole. After being seen by campers at Panther Falls at approximately 4:30 p.m., he was never seen alive again. Before he was even reported missing, his 2006 Hyundai Tiburon was found abandoned about 2 miles down the turnoff for Panther Falls Road. The car was out of gas, and Gunner was still inside unharmed. Chad, however, was nowhere to be found. Near the vehicle were some of his personal belongings, including his car keys. During searches for Chad, investigators also found 2 knives with the blades in the open position about half a mile away. At the time, it seemed like Chad had simply vanished into thin air. However, in December of that year, investigators noticed something strange when a hiker discovered Chad's wallet in the Panther Falls area near one of his missing person posters. The wallet showed no signs of exposure to the elements, despite not being found for 7 months. This led investigators to believe it had been intentionally placed there. In March of 2020, another discovery was made. This time, it was Chad's remains, along with some of his personal belongings. It was then announced by the Virginia State Police that there was evidence to indicate that Chad's death was the result of a struggle with another person. Investigators also confirmed they had text messages from his phone discussing an inevitable confrontation with an individual over some unknown disagreement. All investigators would say was that while one person murdered Chad, multiple people were present when it happened. They believe no one has come forward out of fear of retaliation from people in the group. Police have suggested that one of the witnesses from the group was responsible for placing Chad's wallet where it was ultimately found. If you have information regarding the death of Chad Austin, please call the Virginia State Police at 804-674-2000. Chad was murdered on or around May 27, 2019, and as of February 2026, this case remains unsolved. Keith Allan Fetter was born on October 28, 1966, and grew up in Virginia. After graduating from Gretna High School, he enrolled at Patrick Henry Community College in Martinsville. By the age of 41, Keith was a truck driver, still living in Martinsville, and was now a father of 3. He and his estranged wife, Jennifer Fetter, had been married for 14 years, but had been separated for 3 months. On May 24, 2008, Keith, along with his roommate, 2 other adults, and a child, stopped by Jennifer's home to look at a dog he had there. At some point during the visit, one of the female adults said, and I quote, "Let's go before somebody calls the authorities." Jennifer felt the comment was strange because she said she and Keith weren't really arguing. She said Keith did appear to be agitated, and she believed he was intoxicated because while out in the backyard looking at the dog, he fell down. The group then left the home in an older model, 2-tone brown station wagon. His wife and adult daughter stood outside and watched as the car stopped a short distance up the road and 2 people got out. After that, Keith was never seen or heard from again. Jennifer went inside to get her phone, but when she came back out, the car was gone. 15 minutes later, the group returned, allegedly looking for Keith. They said an argument broke out inside the vehicle and claimed an upset Keith got out and ran across a field and disappeared into a wooded area near the intersection of Wingfield Orchard Road and Matthews Mill Road. After that, he was never seen again. Jennifer quickly reported him missing. She also said she doesn't believe Keith would have stayed in the woods very long because while he enjoyed camping, electricity was a requirement and he was never one to rough it. Although he and his wife had been separated for about 3 months, Keith remained in regular contact with her and the children, and she doesn't believe he would have willingly abandoned them, but she now believes he's deceased. After his disappearance, she and her friends searched the woods looking for him, but never found anything. Investigators also believe he is now deceased. Keith Fetter stood 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighed between 175 and 180 pounds when he was last seen. He has short brown hair, a scorpion tattoo on his left arm, and the letters Aussie tattooed on the knuckles of his left hand. He's missing the first section of his middle finger on his right hand. If you have any information about his disappearance, please call the Henry County Sheriff's Office at 276-638-8751. Keith Allan Fetter went missing on May 24, 2008, and as of February 2026, he remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. Arieanna Renee Day was born on May 28, 2018 in Roanoke, Virginia, and would vanish a little over 3 months later. On September 11, 2018, at around 9:30 p.m., Jessica Day, Arieanna's mother, breastfed her and laid her down for the night on her mother's bed, along with her 6-year-old sibling. When she checked on her an hour later, she was gone. Andrew Christopher Terry, who was initially believed to be the cousin of Arieanna's father, but is now believed to be her biological father, had been at the apartment on more than one occasion that day. Jessica claimed she immediately called him and asked where Arieanna was, because she smelled cigarette smoke in the bedroom. Between 10:30 and 11 p.m., Jessica and Terry spoke multiple times by phone and Facebook Messenger. At one point, she sent a message asking, "Are you harming her or setting me up for murder?" However, Terry denied having her. At 11 p.m., Jessica called the police and reported Arieanna missing. When officers arrived, they found no signs of forced entry. The apartment was unlocked, and nothing appeared disturbed. Arieanna had seemingly disappeared without a trace. Terry lived in Blacksburg, Virginia, with his girlfriend and their 2 children. He and Jessica had known each other since childhood and had dated on and off for years. Jessica had 4 older children, and the pregnancy with Arieanna was not a happy or welcome one for her. Terry had allegedly told Jessica to either give him custody of Arieanna or put her up for adoption. This ultimately led to a custody dispute, and before Arieanna disappeared, Jessica filed paperwork for custody and child support. When officers arrived at the apartment, they found Terry wet and muddy. He was quickly brought in for questioning and gave multiple explanations for the mud. He was then allowed to take a break and get some sleep. When the interview continued this time, he began confessing to what investigators already suspected, that he was involved in Arieanna's disappearance. Terry said he had been at the apartment earlier that day and left for work after putting Arieanna down for a nap. This was confirmed by Jessica. He said when he returned after work, Jessica met him outside with Arieanna and told him to take her. He claimed she had a small cut and swelling on her face, so he held her on his lap while he drove toward Blacksburg. He claimed that about 20 to 30 minutes into the drive, Arieanna stopped breathing. He said he attempted to revive her, but said he didn't seek medical help because he was, and I quote, afraid. Instead, he took exit 128 off Interstate 81 in Ironto, Virginia, continued driving, and eventually stopped near Cedar Run Road and Janelle Road, close to railroad tracks. There, he said he dug a shallow grave with his hands and covered Arieanna's body with leaves. The following day, on September 12th, Terry led police to the area he described. However, the cadaver dogs found no signs of a grave or remains. Terry then claimed that the grave was so shallow that the wind could have uncovered her body. The investigator then stated that he had fabricated the story and asked why. Terry replied, and I quote, "I swear to you she's over there somewhere." Later that same day, Terry recanted his confession, stating he had taken the police to the site only to prove that Arieanna was not there. On September 13th, during further questioning, Terry again returned to his original account that Arieanna died in his car and that he buried her. He was then arrested and charged with illegal disposal of a body in connection with Arieanna's disappearance. Cell phone location data confirmed Terry's story about traveling from Roanoke toward Blacksburg, but it also showed there was a 6-minute stop near Cedar Run Road and Janelle Road. However, despite extensive searches, Arieanna's remains were never recovered. Terry's trial began in September 2019, and Jessica testified for the defense. She acknowledged giving multiple false statements to police in the months following Arieanna's disappearance and claimed she experienced memory lapses. She had told multiple stories during that time, such as Arieanna was smothered during breastfeeding, was taken by an adoption agency, or had been sold. She later admitted that all these were untrue. Jessica suggested that Arieanna may have been injured in an accidental fall, and that's why she had Terry take her away. However, she also claimed that she told Terry's attorney that Arieanna was alive and well, and that she had given her to Terry's cousin. This allowed the defense to put forth the question of whether Arieanna had died at all. This question apparently stumped the jury as well, and after hours of deliberation, a verdict could not be reached, and a mistrial was declared. A year later, the charge against Terry was dismissed. Despite this, investigators believe Arieanna is deceased, and both parents remain persons of interest. If you have any information about the disappearance of Arieanna Renee Day, please call the Roanoke City Police Department at 540-853-5959. Arieanna Renee Day went missing on September 11, 2018, at just 3 months old, and as of February 2026, she remains missing, and her case remains unsolved.